A year ago, in the bleak grip of early winter, I toiled through the night shift at my local Woolworths, a cavernous relic that once stood open 24 hours, a silent tomb of flickering lights. Normally, fewer than 10 lost souls drifted through during those endless hours, but idleness was forbidden. They demanded I wrestle with stock whenever the register fell silent. That sprawling hollow store often held just one other presence, a stock worker or cleaner, swallowed by the oppressive quiet. That night, though, I was utterly forsaken. I stood in the cereal aisle stacking boxes when a faint crash shattered the stillness. An object toppled in the next aisle over. The store's sliding doors always screeched like tormented spirits when they parted, loud enough to rattle bones, so no one could have slipped in unnoticed. It jolted me. A customer? Perhaps? Not yet sinister. Then I glanced left. At the aisle's edge loomed a man, his blank, unblinking stare drilling into me. A void of intent. "Do you need something, sir?" I stammered, my voice quivering. No, he muttered. Could you just point me to the eggs? His face wasn't merely odd. It was wrong. A grotesque distortion. His upper lip jutting out like some malformed creature. A living mockery birthed from a fevered nightmare. Dread coiled in my stomach. I'd have to face him at the register. I hurried to finish the cereal aisle, desperate to flee that piercing gaze. Clutching the cart, I started for the back room, but halfway there, he slithered from the shadows, blocking my path. Mid-30s, I guessed. He towered over me, a 22-year-old who looked too young, too fragile under his lingering eyes. His voice oozed into awkward small talk. "What's your name? How old are you? Do you go to school? Why the night shift?" Then the questions turned rancid. "Do you go to parties a lot? Do you have a girlfriend?" I choked out a "no," my throat tightening. "Have you ever had a boyfriend?" He pressed, his hand, cold, heavy, clamping onto my shoulder. I recoiled, shoving the cart forward. "I'm not into whatever you're thinking," I snapped, my steps quickening. He stalked me, a relentless phantom, until I broke into a near run, reaching the back storage room. He didn't cross that threshold. I wasn't meant to linger there. Customer theft, they warned. But I stayed, heart hammering. Eventually, I crept to the register, praying he'd grab his eggs and vanish. 20 agonizing minutes passed. He never came. Had he stolen something? Fled? I didn't care. I needed the bathroom. I darted to the employee restroom, locked myself in a stall, and sat, trembling. Moments later, the door creaked open. My heart plunged. I swallowed a scream, some half-formed plea like, "You can't be in here," but terror gagged me. I hoisted my legs, hiding my feet from the stall's gap. Time stretched into a suffocating eternity as I stared at the floor, paralyzed. Then I dared to look up. His eye, glistening, unblinking, peered through the crack in the stall door, a predator's gaze. I screamed. Trapped. With one fleeting chance, I fumbled for the box cutter in my pocket, thrusting the blade through the gap. The eye retreated. I slammed the stall door into his face and bolted, racing from the bathroom, out of the store, into the frigid night. I called my boss 5 times before he answered. My words tumbled out in a frantic torrent. "Call the cops," he barked. I did. By the time they arrived, the man had dissolved into the darkness, a phantom untraceable. I worked the night shift twice more, each hour a gnawing torment, but he never returned. I was lucky. Too lucky. I once endured the graveyard shift at a gas station, perched like a forgotten outpost on the edge of a desolate highway, a bleak nowhere from midnight to 6 a.m. The road lay dead. Maybe 1 or 2 lost souls staggered in all night, fumbling with cash. It was a soul-crushing purgatory, especially in the dark's deepest hours. Fresh out of college, drowning in loans, the extra $5 an hour my boss dangled was the thin thread tethering me there. One frigid December night, I hunched behind the counter, flipping through a newspaper, toying with my phone.
anything to fend off the suffocating void. Then headlights sliced through the blackness, a red pickup truck lurching off the highway into the lot. A figure emerged, slamming the door. I glanced up, then down, assuming he'd pump gas and vanish. Minutes crawled by. I looked again. He stood motionless by the pump, staring at it. Confused, perhaps. I nearly stepped out to help. Nearly. Then a chill slithered up my spine. Towering over 6 feet, he turned his head slowly toward me. His face was a void, an abyssal black where eyes, nose, mouth should have been. He was watching me. I buried myself in the paper, feigning ignorance, but my hands trembled. Just pay and go, I pleaded silently. When I risked another glance, he was closer, far closer, standing rigid near the door, still faceless, still staring. My breath snagged. I stumbled to the door, locked it, flipped the open sign to closed. Damn the consequences. Fear clawed at me, raw and feral. I retreated behind the counter, crouching low, out of his sight, out of mine. 5 minutes dragged on, an eternity of texting friends, begging for anyone to be awake. When I finally peeked out, he was gone. Relief surged, until I stood. There, pressed against the glass, he loomed, a shadow given flesh. I screamed, lunging for the phone, dialing the police. The operator faltered. My tale sounded unhinged, but I convinced them. Huddled behind the counter, I heard it. Thuds, heavy and deliberate, battering the door. Not knocks, but blows. Then silence. A car engine roared to life, tires screeching as he fled. 2 cops, a patrol officer and a state trooper, rolled in soon after. I stammered about the red pickup, the direction it tore off, but his face? Nothing. Just darkness. They couldn't do much. He hadn't done anything yet. I quit months later, fleeing to a city job, desperate to bury that nightmare. 2 years ago, that night still festers. A faceless specter I can't unsee. I got dragged into a night shift at a 7-Eleven, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., covering for someone who bailed. The store squatted on a busy road in rural nowhere, silent as a crypt at night. 10, maybe 20 souls stumbled in, mostly drunks clawing for beer. That night, a man in his mid-20s lurched inside, howling strange, guttural noises. I figured he was disabled. My brother's the same. So pity struck first. He shambled to the counter, empty-handed, head tilted toward me, but his eyes rolled up to the ceiling, whites gleaming like wet marbles. My skin prickled. I tried speaking, but he bellowed louder, a broken, mechanical wail. No one waited outside, no cars in the lot. He crawled out of the dark alone. He lingered too long, staring upward, groaning, a malfunctioning husk of a man. I shoved a bag of chips at him. "Take it and go," I rasped, voice taut. I fumbled for a number, anyone to drag him away, when he abruptly turned and shuffled into the night. Guilt gnawed at me, but unease gnawed harder. An hour later, the counter phone shrieked. I answered. Those same yells erupted through the line, sharp, mocking, alive with malice. A prank? I slammed the receiver down, paranoia sinking its teeth in. I scanned the windows relentlessly, shadows twisting at the edges of my vision. At 4 a.m., my replacement arrived and I fled home, exhausted, dumping my stuff on the table. The phone rang a minute later. 4 a.m. Who calls at 4 a.m.? Dread gripped me. I answered. Him again. Those screams, relentless, burrowing into my skull. I smashed the phone down, nausea rising. All night, I felt watched, blinds shut tight, strange noises echoing through the house. Sleep evaded me until dawn. Weeks later, I'd nearly buried it. Then I descended to the basement. Papers littered the floor, scattered like a lunatic's ravings. In the closet, scrawled in Sharpie, 7-Eleven, the store's address. My address. Worse, Pitchforks, knives, a jagged pocket knife sat there, waiting. He'd been here, festering below me. For how long? Whatever he'd planned, he'd abandoned it. And me. I haven't seen him since. He's out there, though. Sick, dangerous, a ghost I can't exorcise.